And signs of life coming out of this Direwolves roster, coming in with their first win of the series in this best of two. We're going to have to see how they look for the game 2 coming up, but Tally, how do you deal with the Direwolves from that previous game?
It's really scary to deal with these teams who draft like so much frontline and so much engage and so much dive and just have like this one carry. Like they have a lot of trust in Katsuri draft like this because if he underperforms, this comp does not function. And like he had a really good performance this game, so that's nice to see. I like what they initially did, you know, like playing the Azir is really good, but like you need to match the front line in a way and also draft really good disengage. Like champs like Braum, champs like Talia, champs like Karth, stuff that is really good versus the dive is what you want to aim for. You don't want to go into this next game and draft champions knowing that they can do the same thing again. You want to, you know, be ready for this huge front line, huge dive draft, you know, and answer accordingly.
It goes also to like what you mentioned during the start of this game, right? Where it looked like Direwolves had built a comp, whereas Mammoth had just built like a bunch of individuals.
Yeah. It's just hard to deal with that.
Now, I guess on top of that as well, is like we looked at this gold lead, right? And it was fairly sort of standard, very even all the way up to like about 20 minutes. It was about 2k gold lead to Direwolves leading up to that. And then out of nowhere, 26 minutes, it's a 10k gold lead. What sort of happened there, Skimmy? Like, did something really shake the bed?
Yeah, I mean, that was literally them getting Baron into them forcing a fight and picking apart one by one. So it was a pretty big turning point. If they hadn't won by that point, I think they'd certainly solidified that up by this amount of gold now was the icing on the cake. So yeah, great game for them overall. Obviously some interesting picks and stylistically went a bit crazy with it. But I think, yeah, Katsuri has the hands to make it work and says, you know, like, believe in me. They did believe in him and they got the dub.
And that takes me on to my next point as well, which is definitely Katsuri. Look at that damage coming out as well, but you can't ignore this Graggets feeling so good in this top lane too, almost equal to the Kai'Sa. It's quite interesting to see that sort of very dynamic, but the communication for Direwolves here, Tally, felt really good. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. It looked like a lot of the plays they were going for were planned. Like we saw in week 1, Guapi would get caught out a lot playing like Talia or like Pantheon in switchier champions, and like he would just die, get caught out. But a lot of this time we're seeing him on the Galio much harder to kill. We see the collapses coming through multiple times where like they're able to clean up from positions where, you know, the fights aren't starting out that are very good for them. But I will also say, to touch on the damage part, it's fake damage, okay? Top laners don't do damage. They just hit each other in laning phase. It's all fake. The numbers aren't real. Katsuri's damage is real. That's good. But top laners are fake.
But okay, I wanna talk about this fake damage. The anti-heal rush on Galio. Tally, I could tell you were feeling very strongly about this. I didn't need to read your facial expressions because I could hear it in the tone of your voice. You weren't overly happy with this.
No, okay. One, Morello sucks. Okay, it's like I understand Galio building it because he's you only want to build it on AoE champs. Champs you can proc AoE like the Gragas and Galio, but it is never an item you rush. It's something you want to get way later into the game if you're versing something that is going to put out an insane amount of healing like the Soraka. Like Aatrox healing, you're going to do more damage than he will heal through your CC. Okay, it's always better to build damage because the guy can't move. There's no reason to build heal cut on Galio early, especially first, because you need to either, you know, build that one-shot build that we were talking about earlier. You know, we've seen the Baus build, or just go for the Australia's build. Be a lot more utility. You're going to find better engage angles. It's just much better than, you know, having a useless item.
Well, yeah, let's look at the draft again and let's sort of break this down a little bit more, Skimmy, because we keep seeing this Skarner. It's being first picked. I know you're probably loving that, and it's starting to have some effect. I know you touched on it, but break it down a little bit more for me.
Yeah, obviously just so strong, right? The ability to run rampant, get all those early kills, and then be able to do it pretty much as you please from that point onwards. It was a case of you don't want to 1v1 me. They had an initial little tester, didn't they? Gudo popped his head and said, nah, I'm out of here straight away. So, look, I think Skarner's obviously incredibly strong in the jungle. 1v1 was able to passively get himself through that one as the rest of his team scared up into oblivion. But look, I'm so keen to see it in top lane. I want to see the true brutality of this champ. I want to wipe away Cassante every game top lane.
Yep.
I want to see old mate do crab rave up there, and we're just all having a merry time. It'd be fantastic.
All right, now, are you going to sing it? Will you, like, do the tune as he does?
I mean, we might get DMCA'd. I might be that good. Dun, 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 dun. Look, that's enough.
You can't do it.
The stream is shut down. We're not getting... It's over.
But also at the same time, I think we've seen Kai'Sa a lot today as well, Tally, and I want to maybe touch on that real quick. Is this champion that's just sort of come back, never really left, but wasn't always that prior pick, but maybe break it down a little bit more too?
I think it's, you touched on, like, it's never really left. I think one of the main reasons we're seeing it again is because on live, Kai'Sa is currently extremely strong. And then people realize, oh, like I can play this on the previous patch as well, just with a different iteration of this build. It's really, really good with dive. It's probably one of the best AD carries with dive. It's going to follow with the killer instinct. Very good self-peel. I think it's one of the champions who's also one of the AD carries I think of is the 1v9 champion. Like you always find yourself in the positions where you can kill for yourself, kill carries, you know, and be happy. And there's also like the added benefit of you can build to fit your comp and also to punish the enemy comp. This game, very easy to dive, so you can build that on hit, build an auto attack based build. But if he's versing a comp where they can't really dive in, he can go for the poke build. Just all around great champ.
Champion's too good, and I love that, but I also love your Twitch channel points. I want them in my pocket because I keep placing bets and then losing all of them. Big bummer, but you can get it up there in the corner. Go put it in, decide who you think is going to win this next game. Is it going to be Direwolves taking it to the 2-0, or are we going to see a little bit of a change from Mammoth, and hopefully they can mix things up? We're just going to have to wait and see. I'm banking on Mammoth actually pulling the topsy-turvy and taking game 2. What do you guys think? I know we have our like predictions.
Here's my prediction.
All right. So are we getting comfortable again? Like, is this what we're doing?
Oh, no, I just had a bit of copium there. Yeah, I think it's a 1-1. Fantastic. I can't wait for this one. I feel great.
So it's too easy. Yeah, no, look, I can tell you're feeling good. You're enjoying it. You're here for a good time. You're here for the vibes. But we do have to go to a short break, ladies and gentlemen, so stick around. Don't forget to put those votes in, and let's see who's going to take home tonight's games. Is it going to be Direwolves, like I mentioned, with the 2-0, or is Mammoth going to get those tusks up, and they're going to take home the draw? We'll just have to wait and see. We'll see you there.
I wasn't ready when everything got real. The sirens growing louder, but still not coming through. I wasn't ready when it was time to take the wheel. I was waiting on you. You're amazing. I wasn't ready when the earth began to crumble. Sorrow crashing down on us, our backs against the wall. I wasn't ready, stand proud to be humbled, but you was ready for it all. What I'm saying, you're amazing. Everything is changing, but you keep on getting better. What I'm saying, you're amazing. So I'm hoping and I'm praying that this life will keep us tethered. I wasn't ready for the smackdowns. I wasn't ready when everything came unglued. I wasn't ready to be trapped down. Ain't ready for much, but I'm ready for you. You're amazing. What I'm saying, you're amazing. Everything is changing, but you keep on getting better. What I'm saying, you're amazing. So I'm hoping and I'm praying that this life will keep us tethered. Now I hold my head up high, I will testify. While you brand me as your own under the falling skies. Yeah, I will testify.
Here's the reason Achilles after becomes the Varus. Forced out of the stopwatch, it's carnage! They're all charmed at his command! Oh, kaboom! It's do or die!
Welcome back for game number 2. I hope you're enjoying yourself. Tally, are you enjoying yourself, mate?
Absolutely, always. Love being
That's
here.
good. That is good. That's what we want to see because, well, we had a banger game. Look, we used that word again, Tally. We used it again. We had a banger
Word of the
game
day.
for Direwolves. It's our word of the day. Direwolves taking out the win. Game 1, Game 2. We're hoping to see something switch around a little bit. Mammoth did opt for the red side. Based on what we saw there, does that give you kind of any extra inclination as to who you think that 5th pick will be saved for?
I think Mammoth will change up the draft a lot. I think that on the other side, Direwolves comp might have worked a bit too well that they're going to run back the exact same thing. And this could be a boon for Mammoth, knowing that, like, okay, we're preparing for versing like a heavy dive comp. We just need to draft champs that are good into this, and we'll have a much better time in this game too.
It's a fair point, right? It is a fair point, and certainly not to be too amiss if they do run it back, because it works ever so well. The question then becomes, though, well, if they, the side of Mammoth, match with the same amount of tanks, then do we have enough frontline for the likes of an Azir and Varus to start to pop off? But I think beyond all that was just the teamwork difference. Direwolves look to be linked in like the hive mind, all following the same script, whereas we saw, yeah, some very messy moments from Mammoth. So do you put that down to week 1, week 2, early season form? Or do you think after watching that game, you feel like there is a bit of a better understanding that Direwolves just may be the better team?
Oh, on one hand, when I look at Direwolves, I think they know their identity. They know how they want to win games, and like that's Katsuri, it's snowballing bot lane, making sure that their carry is always comfortable, always has a good champ, and that they have a good front line, and they're able to team fight. I think this is their identity. But on the other hand, like I look at Mammoth, I don't think they really know what their win condition is yet in their team identity. They're kind of like playing multiple different play styles. We've seen like tanks, we've seen top priority, bot priority. It's not really like a cohesive draft, you know, consistently throughout the week. So I think that that's the one thing that Direwolves has, is they know how to win games when they get ahead, whereas like Mammoth are still trying to find like what their team works as, and you know they're kind of working on individual leads right now.
Almost a case of, yeah, we've got this like one-trick style of play, which is empower Katsuri, and we just tend to win. But that works when other teams haven't figured themselves out, right? So until that point, they're just going to be able to rack up as many wins as they possibly can. Mammoth, though, are going to opt to say, you know what, the Skynet was an issue. Rightfully so. Let's ban that one away. So out of the gate, swinging is a Wukong first pick.
This is really interesting. I have no idea why there's so much pride in this Wukong, and I don't know whether this is going to go into top or jungle, but it's very curious to see like that they've decided to go for this priority, because this kind of was banned, which means the Caitlyn was left up, and I know both Katsuri and Guncrab are big Caitlyn aficionados.
That they certainly are, which makes me even more curious, the fact that they're hovering Ziggs. And then at the very last second, you say, you know what? I'm glad you didn't bring up the Ziggs, because it's a Nautilus instead. Lock in the Caitlyn, make us all be happy, because it's been permanently banned away. We've yet to see why everybody's harping on about how strong this champion is. But you know what? Scrap that. The Ziggs wasn't a bait. It actually was just a bit of foresight.
I mean, when I'm looking at this bot lane, I'm thinking, like, okay, we've blinded Nort. Like, Caitlyn's up, like, just locking Kate Morgana. Like, I think this 2v2 is really, really good into Nort. Like, unfortunately, Morgana's spell shield is very easy to get popped by Ziggs, but I think that having the spell shield access into the Nort is just so easy to deal with. If they don't decide to go for this, though, I'd really, really like to see, you know, that dive coming out of Direwolves again. I think it's nice that Mammoth have gone for the Ziggs, which is, like, the champ to counter dive. Like, he's so hard to get onto, and he's so good at, you know, creating space with the minefield and doing so much disruption in team fights while doing the most damage.
Well, that's basically what I was going to say, right? It's the fact that you've got this champ that's going to say, look, I dare you to pick Caitlyn, but then at the same time, it's like, well, you've opted to say, we just want to run it back with the same comp again. Yeah, let's just lock in the rail for Shinky. That bot lane pairing worked so well for us. The onus is on you now, Mammoth, to be that much more aggressive. They're going to say, we understand. We'll slam Renekton. If we don't win these first 15 minutes, then things are looking a little bit pear-shaped, but we just lacked any kind of agency. We just fell far too far behind. And we cannot afford, if there is to be a bit of a run back from Direwolves, we can't afford for those same mistakes to be made again.
Yeah, I have to see if Mammoth do want to take out the Gragas again, because this is a much better matchup for the Gragas into the Renekton, and I think Mayflan showed that he was very, very proficient on that in the first game. I think the Renekton blocks the Wukong from going top. I do believe like this will go on jungle. With the Skarner being banned, they're probably just looking for another team fighting jungler to, you know, match that same playstyle, find another champion who can do the similar things, because they want to do the same playstyle back to back to back. They just want to find champions who can fulfill that role, even if they get banned.
Well, that's exactly it, right? I mean, the ability for Wukong to dash across the wall with his clone, very similar to that you'd say of the Skarner, obviously an AoE ultimate to lock everybody in place. Certainly similarities between the two of them, as Direwolves do a double Yordle ban. No Poppy, no Tristana to come out today. So what do Mammoth go for? And 2 from 2 goes Goodo, saying, I just want to play Comfort, so I've just gone for Lee Sin. Now I want to play Kindred.
Yeah, we'll have to see what the rest of the draft from Direwolves is. I do like Mammoth. They're just going for like the really good anti-dive options. Renekton kind of does a bit of both. You know, he's good in dive, he's good in anti-dive. It's just Renekton. He's a staple pick. I really like the Ziggs and Kindred. Very good anti-dive champions, and they're still leaving the flex open. I do think the Ziggs will go to bot lane there. Like, when I think of Gunkrab, I think of Ziggs. I think he's very good on the champion. I believe Praedyth still has options to play an AD carry mid if he wanted to. Both the Tristana and Corki are gone though, so most likely ends up playing a mage here. We'll have to see what Guapi wants to blind pick.
This is when Predator slams the Lucian mid, and the response is set mid, and all is good in the world again.
Is it another Galio game?
It could certainly be, unless we've got a different global champion. In this case, he says, you know what, I'm going to play Silas. Everything that you have, I like it. Really good ultimates, to be fair, for him to hijack.
Yeah, I definitely like the Silas into Norlis. It's a all-time like favorite ulti. I think the other ultis kind of suck on him though. It's a bit overrated. Like the Renekton ult is a pretty long cooldown. It doesn't really do that much for Silas unless he goes for this extremely tanky build. But it's not something we see on Silas recently. He wants to get that Lich Bane rush, have access to doing as much damage as possible. Predator answers with a LeBlanc. Traditional like Silas counter. The ult sucks for Silas. He doesn't want to steal this, and it's very easy to bully melee champs as LeBlanc.
Certainly is. It's going to be a good explanation then as to, okay, that's why you're going for 5th pick red side. Kind of what we were assuming it to be, right? Lead it to making sure Predator gets the most comfortable matchup as possible. But in terms of the overall picture, obviously we saw what Direwolves did last game. They've basically gone for a very similar setup this game too. Still locking in the Gragas, interchanging a couple of parts as their mid 2v2. But for Mammoth, a bit of an overhaul. Do you think this looks a little bit better, or does it still look like a team of individuals?
I would still look at Mammoth's comp and think it's a team of individuals. I think that like it's very telling when Ziggs and LeBlanc aren't solo AP. I think both these champs need to be solo AP to like really strive. I think LeBlanc is good individually into Silas, but terrible into the comp. There's way too much CC coming out of Direwolves comp. So like if you misplay one distortion, you are not going out. You are staying in and dying. And then when I look at Direwolves comp, they just drafted the same thing again, replaced their mid jungle with different team fighting mid jungle, but it's still the same identity, still all about Katsuri.
Yeah, the core function is still going to ring true that as long as we're diving, then Kaiser's been given a platform to explode onto as well. And I suppose that leads back to the previous point of, with it being this double AP setup from Mammoth, if they don't get strong enough, how do they once again get through the front line? Because how many times do we see fights happen, especially towards the end when a few items have already come online, they're still not doing any damage. The tanks just look like they're looking at them and say, well, yeah, I've soaked that up. Good luck. We're just going to go for the ace in the end.
Yeah, it's really scary, especially like playing these comps that are very susceptible to falling behind. Like when you play like the mage bot, if you fall behind, it's very telling when a tank can just build like a Canic Rookin or build a Maw on like a Bruiser Jungler. You just don't do damage anymore. I think it's really important in this game that Gudo has a good game. He's going to be the main DPS coming out of the Mammoth side, and it's really important that he has a good early game. He has a good mid game. He's able to find his marks. He gets those like that 1-2 item break point, and I think he can take over fights if he's allowed to.
Well, let's see then if that is the way the cookie crumbles as we load into our second and final game of the night here to open up day 1 of week 2. As we start very zoomed out, given just how panned out everybody is. Not going to try and anticipate any level 1 gameplay, but this will be a big one. If Direwolves able to get the perfect 2-0, a bit of a stamp of authority that we are a much better team than you, and that we deserve those 3 points to put ourselves in that playoff discussion.
Yeah, definitely. It's really important that Direwolves secures the 2-0 to get those 3 points. It's so important to put yourself in the position to be able to contest the rest of the teams in playoffs. But it's also really, really important for Mammoth to win this game, to make sure they're not constantly dropping games and falling out of position to be able to contest the playoffs.
Now I want to ask you a hypothetical. Whilst the dust is settling, whilst we're still very early on into this one, do you think switching out the Ziggs for the Caitlyn makes a difference, or do you think Direwolves were going to run this draft no matter what?
It does make a difference, but like in a sense, if they're going to lock in Norlis no matter what, I don't want to see the Caitlyn, because Caitlyn is that champ who needs to be played with an Enchanter, get that little bit of extra ability to punish your lane. I think we saw in week 1, we saw the Caitlyn without the Lux, without the Morgana. It was strong, but it just wasn't really doing what it normally can do.
Isn't the same kind of bite about it as we see a fair bit of that happening in the top lane. A big chunk taken out of Mayfarm there by Reneko, showcasing that, look, this is what Renekton does. He gets aggressive, but the Gragas, as the game does go on, will start to weather that a little bit better. I wonder if that shifts up his build a little bit. He has actually gone for the Grasp as opposed to the Phase Rush for this game, so are we anticipating a much more hybrid, tanky-focused build from the Gragas this game, do you think?
Yeah, I actually honestly feel like he's going to go the same build. Probably going to see the Rod of Ages again. It's just the grass allows you to trade more evenly with Renekton in the early game because you're always going to be proccing it because Renekton just wants to be able to, push away, proc his Q, trade and push. Gragas wants to, really punish you for mismanaging your Fury. And I think when he gets access to the Catalyst, has a bit more sustain, going to see the matchup change a bit.
Let's put a pause on that one for the meantime then, as Renekton certainly should have his way with things, and he's going to make sure that that wave is constantly crashed against the Gragas. Obviously for the Silas, you mentioned how much it could be pretty rough in terms of bleeding a lot of HP to the range mismatch. You're already actually going back to base, only 3.5 minutes into the Swan, and the bot lane, basically the run back, the true run back in terms of the Rel and the Kaiser. I'm curious to see if Voice can find any kind of difference in this game. Was certainly at the forefront of a lot of damage and sort of falling down to those initial kills, but with a Ziggs behind them, if they get any small opportunity, a satchel charge, a turret explosion, maybe that's enough to try and calm their early game jitters.
Yeah, and to touch on early game, it's important to know Pred hasn't gone for the traditional electrocute. One of the reasons why LeBlanc is so strong on 1410 is that she's one of the best abusers of the sudden impact changes, where it's a lower cooldown, and you get access to that extra 20 true damage in early game on a spell proc or an all attack, which is so nice for LeBlanc, constantly abusing with her distortion. But he decided to go with the first strike, so bit more income in the early game. He's going to have almost 100% uptime on this rune. It's so easy to proc as LeBlanc into a melee champion, so a bit of extra gold to gain in the early game, but just a bit of combat power using by not having electrocute.
Trading combat power for extra gold. Let's see if he can put that gold to good use. If that allows him to get a cheap item spike as a result. Because this would be Guapi playing a different style, right? Obviously the Silas wants to be active on the map, but not in the same function as the other champions that he's played so far, the split.
Yeah, it's much harder to play Silas and roam around the map. He doesn't have that same wave push priority into roaming around. He's also I'm pretty sure he's maxing W here, so he's gonna have next to no wave clear, but his individual trades will be stronger. He also has the Conqueror, so his laning is pretty much non-existent. Going W max plus Conqueror means you're all for skirmishes. There's no wave clear. If you can't constantly use your W or go forward with your E, you just aren't going to be finding the same strength in lane. The one advantage of having W leveled at this point is that every time Prey's distortion's onto him, he can just trade with that chomp from the heal and the auto, which is very easy to get off in that little fraction.
Comes a free heal as an invitation of receiving that damage. So I suppose it almost becomes a case of the best defense is a better offense, and yeah, if you can just life leech through all the pain, life is okay. As we check in with the bot lane and see Shinky trying to be a little bit aggressive on his horsey. Not going to find much on this occasion, given that Voice and Gungrab are both showing a whole bunch of respect, not only to the wave, but to the potential gank, as we can see that Mochi is in the area, and Good is going to take that as an invitation to do a little bit of scouting. Double wall planted, no camps to be found. Free invitation in for Direwolves to get the first objective with this Drake.
Yeah, not really sure what Goodo's looking for here. I don't know if they play for a 3-man dive onto the tower here, this is really good. The wave is stacking, Reneko has access to level 6. Mayfan still doesn't have access to this because this is the cannon wave he would get level 6 from. But as he is coming out of base, he doesn't have the experience. Guapi does not have TP here, so there is no counterplay to this, but Mayfan should know that something is happening as no one is showing on the map.
He's literally just hit level 6 right now. Does he get a chance to hit that cast or will he? Oh, and there is the cast! There is the kill! The kill from the grave! Unbelievable there for Mayfan to salvage anything from that play.
That is a beautiful cast coming out of Mayfan there. Finding that angle on the very end as Gunkrab is getting found, walking back to lane. Gonna get chunked out a bit here, but don't really expect anything else to happen.
Yeah, you'd see that if Katsuri did have Killer Instinct, there's a part of me that thinks he probably does take the gamble, but he has no mana, he isn't level 6, that's not going to happen. He's going to be quite happy, quite satisfied in fact actually, by crashing this wave, getting one turret play, and almost in deja vu fashion, just running back the spot lane like game 1.
Yeah, they actually decide to double recall there. I thought Voice would walk back onto turret as Katsuri is Gunkrab has access to the TP, so they wouldn't be able to die them in the 2v3, but they did decide to go for the double recall, playing extremely safe because Gudo is getting something on the other side of the map. They're finding something for getting pushed off their turret at least.
Yeah, they certainly are. So at least playing towards the strong side, you would argue, at this point, given the fact that they've just found their first kill in that part of the map. So you can have your dragon, we'll get some grubs, and we'll continue to try and be aggressive as possible. The Merc Tread's rushed. Reneko wants to make sure that any given opportunity he has, he's going to be in Mayfan's face. But I suppose for the map as a whole, not the most explosive in terms of jungle ganks, but you are looking at Gudo and saying, yeah, you do want to play a little bit more selfishly if you want to try and take over this one, given that you're going to be the bulk, especially late game anyway, of your team's AD.
Yeah, it's really, really important that like he finds access to those 4 marks. I think it's really important that he finds an extra bit of range because the enemy team comp is so low range, and being able to kite around these team fights will be, you know, the difference between getting that little bit extra damage that wins in the team fight or losing it.
If anyone wants to salvage anything from this situation, we'll be checking with top lane, and this trade just never ends. That one's a helping cast as opposed to a kill grabbing one. As that nudges Reneko back underneath his tier 1 as Mochi looks to try and protect his second respawn of the blue buff. Gudo just going to hold the mid wave and probably be screaming at Predator that all this farm belongs to me, but he's a good jungler and he will give it back to him. And I am curious where he goes to try and find that mark, because as it stands, Mochi is tagged up, but it's not going to be easy for him to find that true 1v1.
He did pick up his second mark on the chicken respawn, so he already has 2. He hasn't been able to find 1 from the kill that he gained. He's just got 2 from the invades he's going for so far, but he is denying camps, is really important. They're finally using the, you know, the mid-strength of LeBlanc, playing for the invades, playing for the fact that Reneko found a really good trade in top lane, and they're, you know, trying to snowball as much as possible, using the movement from mid to get any gold lead they can right now.
And it's almost like that double-edged sword, right, in terms of, you know, you be aggressive to make sure that Renekton stays as relevant for as long as possible to empower the likes of your mid 2v2, but at the same time, you don't want to bite off more than you could chew. You can see them actually teasing, should we try and catch Mayfun between towers, even Mochi being forced to be brought into the calamity of it all.
Yeah, even
actually, Shinky coming.
Yeah, even Shinky is coming to clear some wards. I think this is just a defensive look. He's not really going to try to make a play into Reneko. He just wants to make sure that his top laner is safe until his TP comes back up and he can play for that, you know, reset into, you know, buying more items where he gets a bit tankier and the trades start going in his favor a bit more.
We'll have to see if those trades get better anytime soon, because certainly being down that much this early on feels pretty bad on the burden, and we'll get to wait and see whether or not Reneko can continue to exploit that small window of an advantage. Looking at that second Drake, about 1:20 away. As it stands, you can see that Predator is expending all of his mana to try and make sure that Guapi falls down low, but he's just quite happy, I suppose, to max out that W and say, yeah, cool, I've done the damage. Oh no, Mayfun.
Hold up.
Why did we happen to pan to top of that exact moment?
Observe this. Why would you do this to him?
Oh, that's brutal, unfortunately for him.
Happens to the best of us. Yeah, we'll all flash into a wall, especially those new top lane walls. A bit fat.
Yeah, it's tough. It is a tough wall to cover. I suppose it's almost like that. If you can flash this, you can handle any kind of pressure situation. Oh dear.
Praetor does go for the recall though, so he has his alternator in his boot. So this is like LeBlanc's like pseudo first item spike, and we're even getting a replay of the wall flash. They're doing him extremely dirty here.
Let's watch it back again. Twice as nice. Oh no! I love how Reneko just like, I'll let the turret finish you off. Like, that's embarrassing enough as it is. But we'll run it back straight towards top and get to see. No, there's no catalyst yet. So life is still a little bit misery.
You know what I want to see, Skimmy? I want to see a player can combo as well. That would be perfect.
A play cam combo would be kind of best. If we could sync that one up, it would be GG. Maybe we'll get it in the final credits. So we'll have to wait and see, because I tell you what, this snowball effect, it's almost like being spread onto the rest of the team. Is Reneko's winning top lane. That's allowing Gudo to win his 1v1 matchup, and Guapi's just like, well, I'm just a passenger in this 1v1 to the LeBlanc. So Gudo just pops his head into top lane, fully aware that they know this is happening. But who's there to protect? You can hit your TP, but are you dead before that even comes on through? Mayfun living for such a long time. The TP was cancelled, which is absolutely clutch. And the Lambs of Spike goes out. 2 members are low. Mayfun is 2. Mayfun gets another one. He may just be the GOAT. He may just get the MVP here, because he's sneaking so many kills when it just should not be possible.
Yeah, so Predator cancels the TP there, which means they could re-die, but Gudo walks back in as the red buff ticks onto him, so he re-gets the tower aggro, drops the ult so he can survive, but then walks out of the ult too early, so the turret shot kills him, and Mayfun almost finds 3 kills for himself.
You know what? This is absolute cinema. Tally, to take out a phrase from your book. I'm enjoying this one because it's just messy, but it's pure entertainment at the same time as well.
Definitely the good kind of messy, the one that we enjoy watching.
It certainly is, mate. It certainly is. I tell you what, these turrets are starting to really bear the nature of the lane states being so favorable for either side. That 130 CS for Katsuri, 86 for Guncrad. This bot lane, there's a reason we haven't checked in with it for a while. It is a little bit brutal. Let's just run it back again and watch Mayfun pop this masterclass. Yeah,
so one thing to touch on is Gudo does have the concrete, doesn't have access to the PTA for that instant like damage burst, and like really good read by Mayfun there to body slam the Q to dodge an extra bit of damage. But as you see, Gudo works back on the turret, the red buff ticks, he gets aggro, and he just walks out of his lands despite a fraction too early and falls down.
Okay, well, let's just check on what bot lane. I just mentioned how
Hey,
far
oh.
behind Gunkrab is. Now he's even further behind, down for 20 seconds, as well as burning the flash. It goes from bad to worse here, Tally, because they're going to look for 2 kills. They're going to find it as well. Voice with the shield with a hook that doesn't connect. And Katsuri, that gets his first of this game.
Yeah, much quieter game out of the Daiwa's bot lane. Just winning in the CS department, which is very rare to see. You know, most of the time we see like, oh, when lane wins, it's because someone's going 0-5. So it's nice to see that we're seeing this CS advantage. Really good job by Mammoth, honestly, to like play around the fact they're not getting snowballed on as Gunkrab walks back into lane and
He
dies.
just TP'd to the tower. He TP'd and died again. Oh, Gunkrab. He needs a pat on the back. He needs a hug. He needs something, Tally, because his mental must be in ruin right now. But Goodo's saying, please just give me something. He can't even find that. And Goodo has been their saving grace. He's been their beacon of hope. He's surrounded by everybody. He has no art, as you say.
Renekton.
Simply dead. Now everybody goes in. They say, you know what? Enough is enough. Laning has officially finished at 14 minutes. And the cleanup crew, well, they do the job.
I mean, in the wise words of Topoon, you know, wak wak. You know, Renekton, this is where he shines. These are the fights you want for these bruisers. I was going to say, like, when you look at the gold lead for Mammoth right now, you would say, oh, like, they're winning the game. It's very comfortable for them right now. They have, like, such a big gold lead. But based on, like, who has the gold and where it was going, I would say that Dials were in the lead until that skirmish happened. Like, Renekton is just the king of these skirmishes in the early game, especially when he has, you know, his first item and he has access to the Dominus. Unfortunate Gunkrab finally he just TP's back in, but he goes down instantly again. Goodo tries to chase Shinky here, but like really nice kiting by Shinky, like good vision denial. Goodo really couldn't find the kill, but even though Goodo goes down here, we see the collapse coming out of Pradeath and the TP from the top advantage from earlier coming out of Mayfan, and it's just the cleanup. Oh, sorry, Reneko, and he just completely takes over the game here.
Very times, isn't it? Reneko under Renekton. Wak gets it done, says hello, and really is a happy Crocodile at this point of the game. Sitting on the stride Baker, and he's certainly able to mince whoever gets within his sights. That's a very advanced TP into the bot lane. As Pradeath says, you know what, mid lane, not interested anymore. Gunkrab, you can hold that one down for me.
Yeah, it's nice to see, like, because Reneko is a new player, and we haven't known much from him, what he's really good at. It's good to see he's finally having his, like, game. He's finally having his moment to take over. He got enabled by his jungler, did really, really well in his 1v1, and, like, he's in a position to take over the game now.
Certainly is, and he's going to be hoping that the game state is favourable enough for him to continue to output this amount of pressure. You see the sort of forced engage to a degree in that bot lane to try and take down Guapi. Voice has been hovering for what feels like a bit of an eternity now. And Pradeath has been unrelenting in his ability to try and poke and push and freely rotate first for that first move. We speak of Reneko and having a pop-off game. Direwolves have identified that. 4 members running towards top side of the river. And they say this Renekton is an issue and does need to be addressed. The Dominus is active, but that health is not enough. He's slicing, he's dicing, but he is unfortunately getting shut down.
Have to see if Mayfan will TP here to counter the dive, or if they'll be able to get the kill anyway.
Yeah, charge to start things up with the hook thereafter. Lamb's Spite actually helping Guapi. That's not what you want to see there from Goodo. Oh no, it goes from bad to worse. Voice dies, Mayfan TP's in and sends him back to the afterlife. Guapi underneath the tower stands strong. Pradeath actually taking more damage from the tower than anybody else right now, popping his clone. And a satchel charge to put that one to bed.
That's not something you really think of as an interaction between like Silas and Kindred, is that when you go for the dive onto Silas, he's always going to have access to the Lamb's Respite, and he can just stand there. As long as his team's coming, like he's completely fine, and you know, really good delay out of Guapi, really good TP out of Mayfan. They find the kill. Unfortunately, his turret does go down, but that is the trade for making the play on top side.
It certainly is. Hijacker a little bit too OP. Let's check in and see whether all that gold is as it stands. Despite Reneko falling on down, still has the most in the game. But as be expected, the plan is empower Katsuri, and you will win. And certainly well on track for that one, sitting at close to 7,500 gold.
Yeah, also another member who isn't on the top leaderboard right now, but is doing pretty good in the gold is Goodo. He had access to 6 marks before, so he's very ahead right now in terms of marks. He's comfy. Doesn't have access to his 2 items yet, but he has the range. He is going to continue to scale like he's got through the early game. They have strong side lanes, so he's always going to have access to his camps, and if he wants to invade, it's not another access or more revenues of gold to find. So I think that this Kindred, which we were concerned about being the main DPS threat coming out of Mammoth, is sitting pretty comfy right now.
We think it's almost like insurmountable by the time he hits 7 stacks or 7 marks and picks up a Trinity Force. Like, is that just Kindred 1v9 territory? Or do you think still a little bit more to bite off?
I think Katsuri is too fed right now to like, have to worry about an 80 carry outperforming you. I think it's just going to be all about the fact that he can do damage. It's not so much that like you can't deal with this Kindred at this point. She's just strong, but she isn't, out of control.
This is certainly not in 1v9 territory just yet. Black Keeper actually going to be picked up here by Reneko, so going to keep pace with empowering and shredding and destroying anything that he gets within his sights. But Guapi is going to try and keep pace with Predator, and I think, to be fair, he's actually done a really good job, right? Hasn't lacked in CS, hasn't really found himself falling down in terms of kills. I think he's weathered the storm pretty well.
Yeah, so this is the point in the game where Silas doesn't really care about the 1v1 because he went for the, W max into E max. He is much better in the 1v1 than LeBlanc. He's going to do a really good job to like deal with the side lane and have priority. I would say in the 2v2 I would favor the LeBlanc Kindred though, so we'll have to see if, if both Mammoth and Divers play for the 2v2 side lane priority. How they navigate the 2v2, because I think in the 1v1 Silas is going to be very comfy having access to the Conqueror, much tankier build, so it's harder for Predator to be able to push his individual lead at this point.
Let's see if he can accrue a lead. Sitting at a perfect 2-0-2 right now. The only person in this game, actually, apart from the support and Shinky, that is still deathless. So certainly we want to see your LeBlanc be in a position of power, but it's navigating this side lanes that now becomes the issue. In a straight 1v1, you said that Guapi should actually have an alright time, hijacks the ultimate, forces out the clone, goes for the kill, and doesn't take the juke. Actually says, no, that is the real one, and gets it done. Voice on the rotate, hits a 2-man depth charge, then goes for the hook, sacrifices his body by making sure that that big Mega Inferno bomb does connect. But nobody's dropping down low, Tally. These tanks just weather it and say, that's a nice one, that's a good attempt. Did Gudo just...
Gudo?
Did he fail the Q? I can't tell. If he actually forced to burn the flash, he may be out now, but it almost looked like he headbutt the wall for a second.
No, he decided not to hop over the wall there, which is curious, as he was getting collapsed on. I think this is the story of Mammoth. We keep seeing this over and over again. Like, we see these individual plays happening where, like, we see Direwolves as, like, a well-oiled machine, like, constantly doing stuff as a unit. We see Voice going to ward by himself and, like, once again getting picked out by, like, this group of the jungle and the bot lane from Direwolves. And then Predator, like, in his 1v1, I just think that this isn't what you want to be doing as LeBlanc right now. You want to, like, be pushing and moving as much as possible because... like, Silas has gone for this build where he just isn't going to be losing the 1v1. He lost a lot of lane pressure and not maxing Q, but at this point, level 13 with 5 points in ENW, he's sitting pretty into LeBlanc.
Yeah, he's sitting fairly strong, right? Especially with the Lichbane. Lots of empowered trading as he cycles through all those cooldowns and basically keeps his eyes on the prize, right? Making sure that he's always spotting what the real LeBlanc is. And Caster Curse, isn't it, Telly? I say he's deathless. 10 seconds later, he says, watch this, Skimmy. I'm going to straight send it in the 1v1. And, it's not like the classic, I'd win. It's, I'd lose, unfortunately. It doesn't quite have the same ring to it.
Yeah, but, a good thing to see is we're seeing the adaptation. We're seeing they're going through Silas priority. They've realized that, we can't get priority into this Kai'Sa right now. She's way too strong. Let's just leave Ziggs to solely wave clear mid. They can't really siege into him anyway. Let's play through our LeBlanc. Let's make sure LeBlanc has vision. And let's try to, like, link up the rest of our teams so we're able to, finally get those team fights that we want.
Yeah, how annoying is Ziggs, right, in terms of holding down the mid lane? I mean, it's fairly impossible to try and break through that one. We're going to see what looks like a fight about to break out with double TPs from respective teams to make matters worse. The fight then breaks out in the jungle as they rotate from mid through to the bot lane. In jumps Kessleri with that killer instinct straight away inside that land from Spite, looking to try and stay alive for as long as they can. Across the wall goes Mochi, jumps back in to find that kill. And he spins to survive, but on this occasion, not successfully. 2 kills found by Predator. Answered back by a kill of his own in Guapi, but he is hunting down, waiting for those cooldowns to come back online, just at the range of the chains onto Predator. And he'll say, Gun Crab, I'll settle for you instead. He's not done yet, though. The Blast Cone, that's cute, that's a nice attempt, but a Flash Pounce kill, and this Silas is showing up.
Yeah, this is just the battle of the bruises, honestly. Silas has finally got access to the items he needs, and the levels, we see that he completely takes over the fight on one side, but on the other hand, Reneko chases out Katsuri and just takes him out of the fight. Like, as we see from the replay, double TPs are coming out, and you would say this is a good start to the fight from Mammoth. Like, Katsuri is out of position here. He has to ult in just to be able to, do some damage, but Reneko is right here to go the mark and flash out of the fight, so he's just not doing any damage right now. This is one of the scenarios where I'd say that, like, chasing people out of the fight who just can't do damage is maybe incorrect, and I think that Reneko should kind of play to enable his team here, as, Katsuri is already zoned, but finds the kill for himself, finds the Raven bot, and even though Guapi got all these kills in the fight, the cleanup onto Gun Crab, Reneko is still finding gold, still finding kills, so he's happy.
Happy because he's, still remaining relevant, right? So,
yeah.
certainly in a very happy position in terms of that conversation, as Mammoth look to try and go for their second Drake of the game, make it 2 apiece to make sure that Soul Point is not a discussion we'll be having any time soon. So Dive will say that's nice. You can have your Dragon Denial, but we'll do what we've already seen tonight, which is you go for the Dragon, we just sneak in the Baron. And is this once again a case of it being too little too late? As the Baron's down in smite range, it is gone. Predator looking to try and steal, or looking at least try and cause a little bit of chaos. But as you say, good on her ultimate, no chance to survive. Predator dead as well, the mid 2v2 deleted. And well, now Mammoth have to try and pick up the pieces, fighting into a Baron-inspired Direwolves. They're unable to find much more than just Mochi.
Yeah, nice call by Direwolves. They realized that the Dragon really isn't a priority for them, and they noticed the misposition coming out of Mammoth. They go for the Baron. They really abuse the amount of damage that Kaisi can do with this build to Baron, and they find themselves an easy objective. And then, they pick up their Null Assault with the hijack coming out of Silas. They find a kill onto the Kyrian because that ult is such a long cooldown at this point in the game.
Yeah, it certainly is one of those really annoying ultimates, but for good reason too, right? Because it is, to a degree, fairly broken, just having immunity, so you can understand why. But Direwolves aren't going to really care about those cooldown numbers at this stage, Tally, because they're just pushing and sieging and winning the game. They say, Reneko, what are you doing so advanced? Well, Widow's going to easily pick you apart. 3 members strong go towards it. And what was a Mammoth 2k gold lead, once again, has completely swung around.
No flash. Oh, the chain doesn't connect, so I think he's going to be able to get out here.
A long chase to try and get him. Level 16 is the advantage though for Guapi, and you saw him win the 1v1 before, and yeah, Predator respects it. Says, it's wasted time. Look what Mayfan's getting accomplished. He's pushing another tower. And yeah, the Mega Inferno Bomb's going to help out. I mean, Gungrip's quite happy because he had no other mana.
Yeah, clears the wave away. Gunkrup's having a very quiet game this one, unfortunately. Like he's playing the Ziggs on the weak side. Fell down a few times in lane because of the jungle priority coming out onto the flank, getting bullied off his lane, being able to deep back in lane. He just wasn't able to find the resources that he needed in the early game to be able to have impact, be able to clear these waves by himself at this point in the game.
Yeah, unable to find the impact they would have hoped for with a draft built around the Ziggs being put into the draft so early on. I will say though, much like I mentioned earlier, good having picked up the Trinity Force, he is quite happy with that, no doubt, as a 2-item spike. If he is at the 7 marks or above, surely he's feeling pretty strong. But it harps back to your previous point, right? The fact that Katsuri's sitting on 3 items, it's just going to do so much more damage. Speaking of the devil, he jumps into life by ulting into mid lane, looks at Reneko, wants to try and get vengeance for the chase that happened in that previous all-out, but shows some restraint, stacks up with the team, and watches as he runs back to the base.
Yeah, that's really nice he's able to live there because they've blown most of their engage, so we'll have to see if Direwolves is able to get any more with this Baron if they want to really commit onto the spot dive. It's really, really hard to siege into Ziggs. You have to play the dive, or you have to, as they are doing, siege another lane, bait Ziggs to one lane, siege another lane. They still have access to the rally engage if they do want to go for it.
Time with this one, Shinky jumps in, Magnet Storm on to 3 crucial members. Guapi on the flank right now, 6-1 and 3 has Zonia's active, available if need be. Pops it now, but surrounded by 4. He's so strong, but now is going to fall on down. The shutdown goes the way of Reneko, and what is there for Mammoth to claim as a result?
Honestly, not much, Jimmy. Not much. It's just pushing out waves, getting vision. They have no jungle camps. There's no objectives on the map right now. It's just about getting some vision down so they're able to, secure a lane of farm. I think the game is much closer than it seems. The gold lead is probably a statement to that. Let's have to see if they're able to pick up this mid lane with the satchel charge though, as, Mayfan does go in, but he does have access to the flash.
Oh, Mayfan doesn't need to burn it. Body slam is enough. It's sufficient. Doesn't need to burn the flash. Splits them apart with that cask. And it's just baiting their attention as Mochi says it's my time to shine. Flash across the wall. There is the massive cyclone onto multiple members. They've instantly found 2 as that lands with Spider Spies. Same with the HP bars of the Mammoth squad as well. As it's just too easy for a Kaiser to one-tap everybody. Picks up a triple effortlessly and finds himself the first ace of game 2.
Yeah, and now we see why we have so much priority on the Wukong. It's just that team fight replacement for Skarner. It's just such a good job. Even though he's not that strong, he doesn't have that many items, he doesn't really need those as the team fighting champion. He just needs to find that flash, engage with the Cyclone, lock up all those champions, create so much disruption for Katsuri to finally go in and do the damage he needs to.
And it feels like a very hard MVP vote, right? Do you go for Katsuri because he got all the glory, or do you go for the bruises around him that set him up to succeed? Because that is the question in mind right now, as it seemingly looks like Direwolves are wanting to end this game. Voice tries to bait their attention, tries to at least trim the wave or anything of that matter, but it's not going to be enough. Frantically, Mammoth respawn from their fountain and look to put up one last valiant effort to defend this space, but Guapi stolen the ultimate. They were never dying, and they, Tally, get the perfect 2-0.
Yeah, stealing the Kindred ult there, stealing Lance Respite, and just knowing that you can end the game is nice for Direwolves picking up that 2-0 against Mammoth. Very nice boon for them as a team. As a roster, they get to finally solidify that, you know, we're a contender, we had a good games today, this is our play style, like, what are you guys going to do about it?
Pretty remarkable bounce back from both sides, actually. Shinky, that's probably a good idea to just to switch that camera off there. He's probably feeling a little bit dirty on that one, but either way, yeah, look, I think Direwolves had a pretty comprehensive performance. This is our style. We've established that very early on. Empower Me, we will win games, and whilst we can't do it against the heavy hitters just yet, we can at least assert ourselves as the best of the rest. A perfect 2-0 on the night here into Mammoth as we close out the night.